When we're building our online business starting from scratch, or if we've been building a business for a while and we're not making any revenue yet, then it's three critical areas that we need to focus on. Now, let me say this. I've done it both ways. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been building online businesses since 2010. When I first came online, it was 2010. I was trying to build a network marketing business. And at that time, I had the mindset of I have to buy everything, whatever they recommend to me, I have to buy it if I want to be successful. If I don't buy it, I won't be successful. On the other side of that coin, I had the mindset of I'm not spending no more money. I'm not buying nothing else. All this stuff is just garbage and don't work. And I'm going to try to build it for free. Here's the deal. Both of these mindsets are wrong. Both of them, whichever camp you fall into, will have you frustrated, sleepless nights, and just agitated at the entire process. Because the person who says, I want to build a business for free, is going into it with the mindset of they don't really feel like they can actually successfully build a business. Because if they did, if they genuinely believed that they could do it, at least it was in my case, if I genuinely believed I could do it, I would have invested in myself because I was betting on myself. I stopped doing that after a while because I seen how much money I was losing. On the flip side of that coin, me investing all that money, all I did was literally, I seen a guru course come out, I bought it. I seen a new product come out, I bought it. I wanted to be an affiliate for something, I just went out and bought it with no consideration for how I'm going to market that specific product as an affiliate marketer, or how am I going to make back my money as an affiliate marketer. I didn't start doing that until later on in life when I realized it's not about having the latest, shiniest, fanciest doohickeys. It's about what makes sense for you and where you are. What I had to learn back then was trying to hit above my weight class would always leave me stuck, frustrated, and ready to throw in the towel. For example, back then, I was buying two $2,000 courses. I have no business taking my last $2,000, paying for the course, and now I get inside the course and there's nothing I can apply because I'm out of cash. That's just not smart business. On the flip side of that, it makes no sense for me to comb through YouTube for hours upon hours at a time to learn how to do something so simple as move an image to left or right or center an image inside of WordPress when I can go spend $100 or $200 and learn everything I need to learn about WordPress and skip 8, 9, 10 hours of frustration of skimming through videos. Here's my point. When it comes to building a business from scratch, when it comes to starting over, and if you don't know, I'm the digital DIY geek, and I'm building a business from scratch in 2022, not from 2021, not from 2000 when everything was easy, not from 2010 when Google was still trying to figure out how they wanted to do the algorithm, not from 2008 when things was much lighter and much simpler. Right now in 2022, I'm building a business. And what my three key areas of focus coming into this, because when you're first starting out, you don't have any money. And even if you have money, so for example, if you have money to invest in your business, that's great. However, you still want to be smart about your investments. And the way you do that is by step number one. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into my iPad. I'm going to show you what I'm investing my money into as far as building a business. I'm going to break down the numbers to you. I'm going to show you my mindset of how I think about it. And I'm going to show you what I recommend you have as well. So here we are. We're inside my iPad. The very first thing you can see is I invest in ClickFunnels. Now, ClickFunnels is actually what runs my membership site, which is Confidence Step by Step. So ClickFunnels costs me $97 a month. I do not have the $297. I want it bad. However, I'm not in a place in my business where I can justify giving ClickFunnels $297 every month. I just can't justify it right now. I would like to. I would love to be able to get up in there and get some of that funnel TV or whatever they call it these days and be able to dive into some of those courses. But right now I'm not there. So I cannot spend money on a tool just because I want to have it because I think it would look nice to me. So I'm just at the $97 price, which is the base model. The next thing I invested in was Magnetic Marketing, which is their newsletter. So you can see the Magnetic Marketing newsletter, which comes with Magnetic Marketing and behind the scenes. This is a $97 a month product. I get 2 letters every 2 weeks. And the way I leverage those letters to help me grow my business is I read them and I instantly, as I'm reading them, I'm looking for an actionable step that I could take right now to be able to get my money's worth out of that specific letter. So that's how I use magnetic marketing. Now, if at any point in time it comes to where I'm reading them and I'm not getting nothing out of them, maybe 3 issues in a row, and I can't implement it, it's nothing tangible for me to implement in my business, then I'm going to have to drop it. Right now, when you're first getting started out, you gotta be very frugal. And we have to make sure every single thing we invest our money into is bringing about an ROI. It might not be an ROI in the sense of, tangible dollars that we can see right now, but it can be an ROI in the sense of it's saving us time. It's helping us get over a hurdle. It's helping us see things differently. It's helping us refine our marketing so that we can get to the revenue. So you really want to keep that in mind when you're first getting started. Now, this is just inside the membership area. The next one I have is Sem Rush. Now, Sem Rush is critical for me, and you'll learn in step number 3, which is the key point that you should, if you don't take away nothing else, you want to take away step number 3, and you really want to focus on step number 3. And that's what we're going to talk. That's when this comes into play. But Sem Rush, for all intents and purposes, is a nice tool that speeds up my research when I'm researching to create new content and things like that. This is just inside my account. The next one is SiteGround. Now, SiteGround is where I host all my websites at. SiteGround, I actually paid upfront for SiteGround, so it's like $400 and some. But you're gonna see inside the budget, I did some division and it came out to like $39.99 or something like that. I think it's $39.99 that I pay every month, but you have to pay it yearly, if I'm not mistaken. And this is just how I host my website. You can see right here, Creative Cloud. I have a Creative Cloud subscription. Funny enough, I don't even use Premiere Pro no more, which was the main reason why I had my Creative Cloud subscription. But what I've learned is on my phone, I leverage Creative Cloud for a lot of things on my phone. And when I call myself trying to deactivate the service, a lot of the things I was so used to doing on my phone, because Creative Cloud have so many apps that you get if you're on iPhone. I'm not sure if it's the same for Android. I'm pretty sure it is, because Adobe is a big company. I can't see them not focusing in on Android as well. But I decided to go back to Creative Cloud because I'm just so locked into that ecosystem at this point. Even with me not using Premiere Pro, I use it for everything else. And this cost me roughly about $56 and some change every single month. My next one is Audible. Now, Audible is something I use for just being able to slow down. I love autobiographies where people actually telling you the ups and downs of how they built their business. I love that because, one, it lets me see that, hey, building a business is super hard and I ain't the only one struggle. I ain't the only one that had those limiting beliefs. The only difference between them and me is when they got those limiting beliefs, they got them, they seen them, and they kept moving forward. And that's exactly what I do. So I like it for that standpoint, but I also like it because you get to, you really get to get an inside look at some of the top leaders and business minds of our day who we otherwise wouldn't have access to. So I'm a huge fan of Audible. I'm a huge fan of books in general. Now, I won't kid you. I love audiobooks over regular books because with audiobooks, I can put them on 2 times, 3 times the speed and I can chew through them super fast. Then as I'm chewing through them, I'm listening and I'm looking for what can I take away and use right now. You'll see that's a constant thing with me. Back in the day when I was building a business, I was passively looking and learning. I wasn't really trying to implement anything. However, when it comes to today, I'm always looking for what can I take away right now and go implement and see how it changes the business or see what type of result I get from it. And that's really the power of information. If you're not doing that and you're just passively listening, then honestly, you're kind of wasting your time and money. So the next one is LA Fitness. Now, you might argue that LA Fitness should not be a part of my business. However, for me, I personally believe that being an entrepreneur, being a solo entrepreneur, and dealing with all the stresses that comes along with being an entrepreneur, you have to have a positive way to release that stress. And for me, it's working out. I enjoy working out and I enjoy going to LA Fitness because it de-stresses me and it gets me prepared for the next day. So that's the main reason why LA Fitness is in the business category and not in just my personal health category. So now that you've seen that, let's take it over to notes. All right. So this is the breakdown. So step number one is you have to have a business budget. What I just showed you was all the things that I pay for, all of the tools that I raised my hand and said, this makes sense for me. Now, the tools that I have might not make sense for you. And this is a critical distinction that I need you to understand that I did not understand when I first stepped into this online world. When I thought I had to buy everything, I thought I had to have every tool that came out dealing with SEO. That's not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to look at what tools make your life easier. For example, Sem Rush makes my life easier, so I'm willing to give them $119. Magnetic marketing newsletters, it makes my life easier because it keeps me on a cutting edge of what's working right now as far as marketing. And it also allows me to be able to have new strategies and tactics I can try in my business, and then I can come back, create content around, and report back to you. So you really want to look at that. ClickFunnels, trust me, if it was anybody out there that disliked ClickFunnels more than me, I would be shocked. And I didn't even dislike ClickFunnels because of it was a horrible service or something like that. I just disliked it because of all the hype that was around ClickFunnels. So it just turned me off. I didn't want nothing to do with ClickFunnels. Then when I finally tried ClickFunnels, I was coming from WordPress, building all my funnels in WordPress from scratch, which meant that, well, I'm not going to say from scratch because that simulates that I was hand coding it, and I wasn't. I was using some type of page builder inside of WordPress. But if you know the difference between ClickFunnels and WordPress page builders, WordPress, you have a ton of functionality and you could just do a lot more with it. And what you can't do with it, you can easily, go skim the websites for a piece of code that'll help you do it and just modify that code and you can do it. And that's what I used to do all the time. With ClickFunnels, it's kind of like a what you see is what you get type deal. It's not much of, customization you can do to it without actually really digging into the code. And with ClickFunnels, the downside to it is if you dig into the code, you really have to understand what you're doing because you could get what you want. Oftentimes I did, but I would break another piece of the website and it was very difficult to either find the CSS class or the hook or whatever was controlling that piece that I was trying to fix. So you really want to, take ClickFunnels as is. All right. So I said all that to say this. For me, ClickFunnels work for me where I'm at in my business today, just getting started. I wanted something that I can just get up, get going with as quick as possible. And that's what ClickFunnels gives me. However, I also have a website where I use Elementor. I also have other web properties where I use Optimized Press. So honestly, it really comes down to you picking the tools that make sense for you at your time. So as you can see, my total is $566.93. So that means that the budget, whatever my budget is, cannot be $566.93. Which means if we look over here, I have a buffer total of $433.07. So if you add those two up, my personal budget is $1,000. Meaning I fund my own business, meaning I take money out my pocket and I put it into my business. How does that work? Well, it used to work where I was working 2 jobs and the second job fund the business. Super easy, work part-time, make $500, put it over that. Today, with the way everything is going, it's not that hard to make a quick $500 every 2 weeks. And that was my minimum amount. My minimum was 500, my maximum was 1,000. I started out at 500. I quickly realized that it was certain tools that I just couldn't live without and I must have. So I quickly bumped it up to 1,000 and I made that my ceiling, meaning I'm not willing to invest over $1,000 into my business until it started making money. The $433.07 is the buffer, meaning that let's say Russell Brunson come out with a new book and I want that book. And let's say the book, for whatever reason, is $297, or he come out with a new course and it's $297 and I want that course. Well, I have $433.07 sitting in a business account after I paid all the bills for the month, which means I can get that course. Now, I put $1,000 in a business account every month, no matter what. If I don't use the $437, I'm building it up. I'm building up the business account. And I'm able to do that because I have a system, I have a simple system that I use. Once I take pay, I instantly put $500 into the business account. Now I get it. Depending upon how much you make, where you are in your life, what's going on, your responsibility, things like that. You may not be able to do that. And trust me, I get it. I was one of those silly kids that decided to go out and have two different kids by two different women. So I understand dealing with child support and dealing with maybe being a single mom or, other responsibility. I get it. That's the reason why for so long I did two jobs. I only recently stopped working two jobs because I realized what I'm going to tell you in step number 3, which is where I was falling short. So whatever your budget is, it doesn't matter how big it is, how small it is, whatever your budget is, I just want it to be your budget. And whatever that budget is, you need to at least save about 40% of that budget as your buffer. So if your budget is $1,000 in my case, you can spend $600. You can get your monthly bills up to $600. But that $400 should always be a buffer. Now, if you look right here, you can see it say Apple $100. So you might be looking at, how do you give Apple $100? Honestly, it's quite easy. I have certain apps that help me with my creative process that I honestly refuse to live without. Like, for example, I pay my Skillshare account is through Apple. Why didn't I just go pay it on their website? I don't know. I guess by being on Apple and it just being another payment that come out, it doesn't really bother me. So I pay Skillshare through Apple. I pay for Craft. I pay for Notion. I pay for a few video editing apps that helps me when I'm just working on my iPad. Like if I don't want to bring out my MacBook Pro, I'm able to work on my iPad. So again, you want to make sure your budget is set up for your comfortability, something you're comfortable with, something you can do. I started with $500. I gradually started paying $1,000 into the business. Now, I should say that while I do only have one main job, I do still pick up side gigs. Now, I don't depend upon those side gigs to make up the $1,000, but when they come available, I do pick them up. So, for example, with SiteGround and Elementor Pro, Elementor isn't even on this list because it was something I bought before I started this specific business, before I started from scratch. So I didn't want to include it because I didn't think it looked right. I didn't think it was fair. So I didn't even put it on here. However, with SiteGround and Elementor, those was like together combined, those was about $600. And I honestly didn't have to pay that out of my pocket because I had a client and that client ate that cost. So I was able to get SiteGround renewed and get Elementor Pro. And that client was able to get a copy of Elementor Pro and allowed to share on a piece of my SiteGround account to host her website, on top of still paying my fees. Now, is that an all the time thing? Of course not. However, when those things pop up, it's great for me to be able to say, okay, here's a side deal. Here's some extra money I can put over into the account. So if it's ever a time where something happening in life getting in the way and I can't put $1,000 over there, or I can't put over 500 or whatever your magic number is, it's okay because I've already been building up all my little side hustles. I've been throwing that money over there as well. So that's the very first thing I want you to consider. If you don't have a business budget and you can't say, this is my operational cost, this is how much it costs me to just run the business, this is my buffer, this is how much I can spend every month over my operational cost. If you don't have that, that's the very first thing you need to stop and do, because having that filter alone will stop you from just going out buying a course just because you get wrapped up in the marketing. Like, that's what I used to do a lot. I used to get wrapped up in the marketing, and before I knew it, I was buying a course, and then I was going through the course wondering, like, why did I buy this? And for me personally, I've never been one to go and ask for a refund because of a mistake I made. Now, if I ask for a refund is because you just simply did not fulfill on the promise and I didn't get what I was looking for. I want to say maybe 2 times in the last, what, 10 years since I've been online, I've asked for a refund. Even when I knew I should have asked for a refund, I didn't do it because I didn't feel it was fair to the creator. With that being said, your first area of key focus, I'm telling you, if you ain't doing this, you don't have it, grab a pen and paper now and do it with me. You want to create your business budget. But you want to create your business budget through looking at your finances. And your finances you might say, well, I don't have no free money. I would say, yes, you do. You have to get serious. If you really want to build a business, you have to take those short-term losses for long-term gains. Meaning, if you have a super high cable bill, you got to chop it down to the bare basics. If you got a super high phone bill, you got to chop it down to the bare basics. If you have, you go out and eat all the time, you have to chop it down to the bare basics. You have to start looking at your finances and see where you can pull money from comfortably and fund a business. For me personally, I wasn't willing to do that. That's why I had 2 jobs, because I didn't want to suffer while building a business. Because there's a downside that come with, you creating a business budget, and then you pulling that money and you putting yourself on restrictions. Then it becomes a game of, I have to hurry up and make sales. I have to hurry up and make sales. And that shows up in your business. So I didn't want that to happen. So what I did was I grabbed a part-time job. When I realized my key area number 3 wasn't being focused on, I stopped that second job. And I went with the job with the less stress, which was a pay cut for me. But I was okay with that because I knew that if I focus on a business, it'll be worth it in the long run. And again, that's not for everybody, but that was how I did it. That's how I got to the point I am now. That's how I was able to get myself to build my first digital product. All right. The second key area that you want to make sure we're focused on is making sure we're building a working model. So for example, if you look right here, let's go back over here right quick and let's go back to right here. This membership area, this website is a working model that I built myself using ClickFunnels so that I can test my idea to see if people really would pay me to teach them how to have confidence step by step. That's a working model. You want to build a working model, but you don't want to outsource it. Like, if you look at this is bare bone basics. Like this logo right here, this is something that I did myself, meaning I don't know like design like that. I actually took a quick Skillshare class on design just so I can understand like negative white space and all that other stuff and how to make things look aesthetically pleasing to the eye. But by no stretch of the imagination am I a professional at it. And I'm not trying to be. However, I needed a working model of the ideal I had in my head. And that's what your next key area of focus is. You want to make sure you're locked in and you're focused on building out a working model. Now, this is 2022. Creating this inside of ClickFunnels is not that hard. In fact, it's downright easy. The only downside to using ClickFunnels is, like we talked about earlier, is those limitations. If you're coming from a place like, WordPress and using your preferred page builder, you're going to have a lot more functionality. You're going to be able to do a lot more. And honestly, inherently, WordPress just does more than most things, than most platforms, because you can add plugins. Plugins give it even more functionality for something if you want to do that it couldn't already do fresh out the box. So with that being said, you want to get good at doing it yourself. That's why I call myself the digital DIY geek, because for so long I was looking for someone else to create a business and then I plug into their business and I make money. And it wasn't until I kept bumping my head back in the day that I realized, hey, it's a reason why, Magnetic sponsoring made so much money off the back of the You Inc. movement, because what I realized was There's nobody out there that's going to build this magical business for me. And all I got to do is go promote it and I'm going to become wealthy beyond belief. It's just not going to happen. That's not in the cards for me. And once I realized that, I started learning how to do everything myself. I stopped, trying to go out and find, hey, let me find a landing page or a template for this, or let me just plug into someone else's tool or system or something like that. Because when you do that, what you're doing is you're robbing yourself of learning an invaluable skill or process of how to do that thing. So for example, when I was creating my membership area, from building the videos, I caught a lot of drama. Premiere Pro just wouldn't work for me, to the point where I dropped Premiere Pro because my colors just didn't look right. And I wound up going with DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve, the colors looking like they supposed to look, the exports was faster, everything was smoother. However, I still had, let me just show you, because I really want you to understand that I'm not just talking. So we're going to go over to Vimeo. Vimeo is where I host all my videos at because it makes the most sense. Again, this is one of those that I didn't put on here because I already owned Vimeo before I started creating this product from scratch. So it was resources I already had, and I highly recommend you leverage resources you already have as well. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on, let's see here. Here's the confidence matrix. Now, can you see how crazy these videos look? Like, can you see the colors? Like look at this one. This one basically look, I guess, pink or purple or magenta. It's probably more magenta. Then you can see this one look more green, magenta. This is like a crossbreed between magenta and like black or something. Then you can see these look, this one right here is probably the only one that looks nice. Then if we come down here, you can see these look pretty bad as well. And this is what I mean by a working model. I'm not going to kid you. It vexed me. It frustrated me to no end, knowing that I was putting out videos, putting out great content that I know could help somebody, but the color of that video just didn't look natural, or it didn't look like I thought it should look. And as a result, while it frustrated me, I had to remind myself, I'm building a working model. This isn't the end all be all because I have access to all these videos. So I could always go back, take off all those colors I did, take it to the bare bone basics, and then try recoloring it again and swapping those videos out once I've proven that it'll actually make money. But getting stuck on it right now while I'm still trying to prove the business idea doesn't make sense. And me, what I did was I took a course. I actually spent like $297 on, I think it is Color Academy or something like that, Colorista, whatever it's called. I can't think of it right now. But I spent $297 for them to teach me how to properly do color. And again, I'm not trying to become a professional at it. I just want to get reasonably good enough. All right, so when we're learning how to do all these different things, from building websites to creating content to everything we have to do in between, to connecting our, pay whoever we go with our payment processor. For me, it's Stripe. For you, it might be Stripe, PayPal, or someone else. We're not trying to become the best at those things. We're trying to get good enough to get the job done, to move to the next step. So you really, really want to make sure you're dialing it in when you're focused in on building that working model. Because building that working model of whatever you're doing is going to make your life so much easier, even if it's not right, even if it looks like my videos. It's going to make it so much better, because the next time you come around to do that thing again, now you understand your mistakes. You understand what you did wrong. It's kind of like me in trucking. So during this time, when I decided to go down to one job, I was on the prowl looking for what can I do that'll uncap my income. Because obviously, if I'm at a job, it's only so high I can go. So I wanted to know, what can I do to uncap my income? One of them I knew was, if I get into sales, I can uncap my income. The other one I knew, if I get into trucking, I can uncap my income. Plus, I don't want to say I was tricked into it, but I was kind of tricked into it because I was offered a management position in trucking, but I had to get my trucking license and I had to go through the process of being a trucker in order for me so I can have empathy and be able to relate to the truckers when I get to the management side over here. Long story short, I thought about it. I decided to move forward with it. And I took a trip from basically Chicago all the way out to Kent, Washington. Now, if you're familiar with it and you know that distance, then that's great. However, I didn't know that distance. I knew it was going to take me some time. I didn't expect it to take 6 days. And the reason why it took so long is because we had to go through mountains, we had to go through storms, we had to go through fog, we had to go through just miles of blanket ice, we had to go through rain. It was hailing out there. Then, for all intents and purposes, it was just a sucky experience. But the thing about it is this: if I had to go back to Kent, Washington right now, I understand I know what to expect. I know what's going to happen. And now I'm better at handling, because I'm telling you, it's nothing like being in a mountain, at the top of a mountain, and you have 42,000 pounds on your back. And now you have to go down that mountain, and it's not straight. It's winding roads where you have to make sure that truck don't get away from you as you're going down. There's no feeling like it, especially when you've never done it and you've only had your CDLs for 5 hours. Literally, that's what happened to me. But now if I went back and did it, I could do it even better than I did it the first time. And I was still able to pull my weight, make sure I put it on my miles. Actually, I went over my miles that I needed to do. And I came out of everything. I came out of it more skilled driver, and everything was okay. Same thing is true with business. Same thing is true with whatever your thing is you're struggling with, whether you want to build a website, build a marketing funnel, create your first product like I did and actually put it in the world, or you want to do whatever that thing is. In the beginning, doing it yourself is going to be hard. Looking around at other people, seeing how cool theirs looks, understand. The one thing I had to understand, because this tripped me up a lot, was I looked out at people like Ryan Dice, or I looked out at people like Frank Kern, or I looked out at just the marketing leaders who I admired, who I looked up to, like these dudes done figured it out, or these gals done figured it out. When I looked at them, I always had to remind myself that I'm one person in a home office doing it by myself. They are powerhouses, not because they're a powerhouse, but because they have gotten to a point in their business where they can build a team around them, and that team offsets a lot of their work. Because I remember I used to look at Pat Flynn, and Pat Flynn, if you don't know him, he was big into affiliate marketing when I got introduced to him. Now he does a lot of other stuff as well. But when I got introduced to him, it was all about blogging, niche sites, SEO, things like that. That's how I was introduced to him. And I would be just amazed at how much he could get accomplished and how much he can get done. And for whatever reason, one day I realized, because he had this philosophy of be everywhere. And I tried it. I tried to be everywhere. I wanted to be on every social media network, everywhere. And it didn't work. I was overwhelmed. I was stressed out. I was frustrated. And I had to realize Pat Flynn can say be everywhere because Pat Flynn has a team that ensures he can be everywhere. Doesn't mean Pat Flynn is sitting down physically doing all of it himself, because he's not. That's not realistic. So for me to try to keep up with Pat Flynn, or keep up with somebody else, or keep up with Joe Blow, that's a recipe for disaster. So if your website or your podcast or whatever your ideal is doesn't meet the standard of somebody else, just understand this: y'all in different weight classes. And if you try to hit above your weight class and hit up there where they are, well, you're going to lose. And that's what was happening to me. I was losing every single time because I was trying to hit above my weight class. Instead of looking at where my skill level was and hitting at my skill level, I was trying to hit above my weight class. And I was frustrated a lot of nights, a lot of days, and ready to quit all the time. So you want to make sure you're not trying to hit above your weight class. And you want to make sure that you're not comparing your thing to somebody else's. It would be very easy for me to look at these videos and say, these don't look nothing like Peter McKinnon's. And it would be a very true statement. But you have to remember, Peter McKinnon been doing this for years. I don't want to be a videographer. What I want to do is create compelling content good enough to get myself out there. All right. And that was another thing I had to learn. Even when it came to audio, editing my audio, I had to realize I'm not trying to be a master. I'm trying to get good enough so that I can get my thing out there and it sounds reasonably good. I'm trying to get my videos reasonably good. Now, over time, sure, we're going to always be trying to inch it up that 1% or 0.5% or that 0.00001%. We're always trying to improve, but we never, ever want to stop and try to master a thing. That's what I used to do. And as a result, you would look up and I would have 5, 6, 7 months of hard work. But because I wasn't focused on just building that ideal and getting it out there, I wasn't making no money. I wasn't bringing in no revenue. So trust me, when I tell you this, I'm telling you from years of failure. I'm telling you what I did wrong versus how I'm building in 2022. Okay, so number 3, and I really need you to hear me. Like, I need you to actually stop what you're doing and pay close attention because this is this serious. And this is the key thing that I wasn't doing. When I was working 2 jobs, I was making good money. Trust me, good money. And I had the money to invest in whatever I wanted to invest in. But you know what I didn't have? I didn't have the time to do this step right here. And it showed in everything that I was doing. When I spent the money to go to ClickFunnels and do all that stuff, this is the breakthrough that I had that I realized. And that is you have to focus on micro digital assets. What is that? It's real simple. A micro digital asset is a piece of content that you create and you put into the world to attract your ideal customer or your ideal audience to you. I wasn't doing that. And because I wasn't doing that, I wasn't building a name for myself. And what you have to understand, which is what I had to grasp, when you're working 2 jobs, meaning you're trading time for money, the only way for you to continue to fund your business is to continue to trade time for money. When you're working 2 jobs and you're creating content every day, what you're doing is you're building momentum. Now, momentum comes in the form of a lot of different ways. Momentum in the beginning could just be, hey, you figuring out what type of content your audience respond to, how to get better at creating videos, podcasts, or how to get better at writing your blog posts, or how to get better at what type of post to post on social media. No matter what your medium is, the medium doesn't matter. Only thing matters is that you're creating those micro digital pieces of asset. And each one of those assets is bringing people closer to you. And each asset you put out is working with the last asset you put out and is creating a snowball. And eventually, what's going to happen is you're going to create so much content that you're going to get so good at creating content. You're going to find your voice and you're going to start bringing people into your world. So for example, if you look at this video right here that I'm doing, this would be considered a micro digital asset. Why? Because I'm creating a piece of content around an issue that I'm having or that I've had before. And as me starting over from scratch is bringing all these things back to my memory that I had once forgot about. So guess what? This piece of content is going to attract people that want to start from scratch or that's not making any real money, but they feel like they at a disadvantage because for a long time, because I couldn't go out and buy the latest course or buy the latest product, I felt like I was operating at a disadvantage. Well, creating micro digital assets bridge that gap. It allows us to be able to play at the same level, if not higher, than our superstars out there. So for example, with digital marketer, can I beat Ryan Dice at creating content? One-on-one? Yeah, I probably could beat him out. Can I beat Ryan Dice's team at producing as much content as they produce? Not even close. But what I can do is I can look at what I want to talk about, what's going on with me, and I can look to grab people that's currently a step below or at where I'm at so they can see how I'm dealing with it. Ryan Dice, he's aiming at a totally different audience. He's aiming at a totally different audience. So it makes no sense for me to try to keep up with what Ryan Dice doing when me and Ryan Dice doesn't have the same goals. Now, I'm saying Ryan Dice because I've always been a big fan of Ryan Dice's as well. And his name is the first one to pop in my head over at Digital Marketer. But the moral of the story is this. If you on a shoestring budget or don't have a budget, create a budget. Look at where you can pull money from. If you want to, you can do what I did when got a part-time job. If you don't want a part-time job, you can look at what skills you have that you can leverage to bring in some extra money. That's another thing that I did. If you don't want to do either one of those and you prefer to just do it off the back of your job, you can do that as well, as long as it's not putting you in a stressful situation. If it's putting you in a stressful situation, it's counterintuitive and it's not helping you out. And the business at that point is not something you see as one day freeing you, but it's becoming a hindrance. And that's not what we want. That's not the purpose of this. So you want to make sure you keep your budget as low as possible that you can handle. I don't care if your budget is only $100. Then you know your bills can get up to $60 and you got $40 to play with. And over time, as long as you invest in that $100 a week, every pay period, or that $100 every month rather, then over time that $40 is gonna snowball, and by the end of the month you're gonna look up and you got $500 or $600 because you didn't spend the $40. All right. So trust me, this is how I did it. It works. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're creating digital micro assets. The more content you put out, the better. Now, I know this creates that argument of, should I be looking for quality or quantity? And I'm just going to share my perspective with you on this, but you do what makes sense for you and your business. For me personally, I prefer to go with quality content, meaning I'm giving you the best that I have. But it might not necessarily be the highest quality video. For example, with this right here, you look at these videos. These videos, the information inside of them is super duper high quality. And I guarantee if someone goes through this course and they actually apply what they're learning, it's impossible for them not to have success. It's just not possible. It is physically impossible for someone to go through this course, apply everything I'm teaching them, and apply what I teach them how to get unstuck. And then you still look up and they stuck 6 months later. That's not possible because we address it right here inside the Confidence Matrix framework. So with that being said, while I want these videos to be as high quality as possible, I want them to be as high quality as possible as I know how to do. And at the time these videos was created, this was the best I can do. So if this is my best, then I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm not trying to go out and, spend a ton of money on high-end cameras and then just to turn around and not understand how to work those high-end cameras. I'm not trying to go spend, $3,000, $4,000 on learning how to color grade better. And then I learned that my computer can't handle the color grading thing or can't handle all of the load. So that's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm doing is I want to put out quality content, meaning the information first and foremost, and then look and design second to the best of my abilities. And that for me personally is how I look at quality versus quantity. So I'm going to always lean towards quality. I never, ever, ever want to put out a piece of information or a piece of content that I think is just trash, or I'm just putting out filler content because I feel like I got to post that day or I feel like I have to put out something that day. No, I'll go back to the drawing board and I'll go back to Sem Rush and I'll find something that I have experienced that I can share my story around. For example, this is the reason why Sem Rush is so important, because with Sem Rush, for me personally, and for you, it can be whatever keyword tool you want. But for me, Sem Rush isn't just a keyword tool. It is a research tool, meaning that, for example, let's go over to Sem Rush right quick. I'm going to let's do ClickFunnels because ClickFunnels is very popular. So we're going to do ClickFunnels review. All right. So let's say I wanted to look up ClickFunnels review. And we can see that keyword difficulty is 51%. We can see it's 1.3 thousand. So that's basically 1,300 people going to Google every day asking about, this specific keyword. So now what I want to do is I want to scroll down here. And this is why I like it so much, because I'm able to see at a glance my competition, like, okay, how many backlinks they got, the referring domain authority, I can see the page authority. And then after that, I can see like URLs linking to it. But more importantly, I'm able to come over here, grab this. So you can see right here, it says dream growth / ClickFunnels. So now I could look at their top organic keywords and see what keywords are they using in this article. Then I can come over here and I can see what positions they are. And then I can scroll down here and I can see, okay, feature snippets is 9. I can see site links. So feature snippets, I can come over here and I can see, all right, so here's what's going on. Is ClickFunnels worth it? ClickFunnels review. Does ClickFunnels work? And the cool thing about this is because I'm asking a question about a tool that I actually have experience with, I already bring something unique to that piece of content. So if I wanted to write about ClickFunnels, I could, because I have my own unique perspective on ClickFunnels based on me using ClickFunnels to create my first membership product and get it connected to Stripe and launching it to the world and all that other cool stuff. So this is the main reason why I like it. This is why I love Sem Rush, because to do what I just did would be very tedious and difficult just going to Google. Now, can I come over to Google and do the same thing? Sure, I can say ClickFunnels review. And then once I'm here, I would be in incognito, so that way I wouldn't be affecting these search. So if you see my picture right here, this isn't the real search, because Google is giving me information based on what it thinks appeals to me based on my searches in the past. So I would have to actually go incognito to be able to really see the good stuff. But just looking at it, I can see his ads at the top. I can see what people are asking, which could be helpful. I can see there are videos right here, so I definitely will want a video on my blog post. I can see right here, ClickFunnels Review 2022, details, pricing, and features. I can see that it has a star, so maybe I might want to try to figure out how to put a star rating on there. Then I can see a few of them have a star rating. So rating right here, you can see pros and cons of ClickFunnels. You can see ClickFunnels Review 2021, legit or overhyped. Now, I like that title because overhyped directly speaks to a person like me who didn't jump on ClickFunnels for a while. Then you can see down here, there's other things you can do. Then you can see over here, I can grab other keywords that's related to ClickFunnels. So you can do the same thing inside of Google. The only difference is I don't get the matrix on these websites. Like I can't see what words they specifically were ranking for. I can't see what is they doing to give them that extra edge. But over here at Sem Rush, I can see all of that stuff. So let's get back over to Sem Rush, or did I delete it? I'm not sure. Okay, so over here, you can see all of that stuff. So it just comes full circle to you figuring out what makes your life easier. Every tool you buy, everything you buy for your business should be because it solves a problem that you have and it makes your life easier. That's the main reason why I decided to buy DaVinci Resolve. It was very hard for me to give DaVinci Resolve, I think it was like 400 and some bucks, because they had some type of bundle with a speed editor. So I got that. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was closer to like 4 something. So I did that. I got that. And what I decided to do was drop Premiere Pro. Altogether, after all the years of learning Premiere Pro, I dropped it. And for me personally, that was very, very hard for me to do. And sometimes that's what you have to do because that specific tool isn't getting the job done. So when you're building your business from scratch, you have to remove as much complexity as possible. You have to make your budget you have to set that budget, and you have to set your buffer at 40%. Now, is this a hard and fast rule? No, this is just what I do that I found worked for me, and I highly recommend you try it. but play with the numbers. Nothing, I don't want you to be rigid. Like, I used to do that. I used to be, okay, they said I have to do it like this. I'm not going to deviate. That's how I'm going to do it. And I would find myself frustrated because it wasn't working for me, but I was trying to force it on me. So learn the process, try it the way I'm telling you to do it. But if you feel like you need to play with those numbers, by all means, play with those numbers. Do what makes sense for you. Do what makes building a business joyful for you, makes you happy. And that was a hard lesson I had to learn. I want you to make sure you do that budget, because I'm telling you, it's going to change your world, especially if you bounce from product to product, thing to thing. That's going to slow you down drastically. The other one is, make sure you're focused on building that working model of whatever idea you have. It don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, the greatest one out there. It just have to be good enough. It has to be passable for you to be able to ask somebody, hey, would you pay for this? And they actually go in their pocket and pay for it. Or they click on your affiliate link and they go purchase. Or they come to your website and they opt in. Or they take an hour out and listen to your podcast. Or they give you a thumbs up on your social media post. Whatever your model looks like, if you can get someone to take a positive action on that thing, you're golden. Once you've done these two things, the last thing we gonna do, which is what I'm doing now, is we're going to create a massive, massive, massive flood of value in the marketplace around our specific subject, because that by far is the best thing we have going for us. Because while we're sleeping, our digital micro assets are out there working for us. When people typing in certain things into Google, or when people scrolling through social media, or when people looking for a podcast to listen to, or when they're looking for a nice quick read. Whatever our thing is, we have to get good at content marketing. Like, there's no way around it. Sure, you don't have to listen to my advice about the budget, and you'll be okay. It'll be a little bit more frustrating. You don't have to listen to my advice about the working business model. You can maybe have money laying around, disposable money, that you can just pay somebody, outsource, and let them do it because you want to keep your time. I don't recommend that. I recommend you do it yourself. So when you want to outsource it, you know how much it should be. My personal opinion. But the third one, if you're not creating content, if you're not bringing people into your world through the value that you have to offer to them, building an online business in 2022 is almost impossible just throwing money at it. And throwing money at it before you've actually proven a concept isn't a good way to do it. So if nothing else, if you take nothing else from this, you have to start creating content. The content can be your preference. There's no stipulation on the type of content you create. It could literally be whatever type of content you want to create. If you want to do podcasting, do podcast. You want to do video. You want to do writing, do writing. You want to do social media and don't want to do none of that other stuff? Hey, leverage social media. If you do leverage social media, I would say with a caveat, make sure you're getting them off the social media platform into your email as quick as possible. So if something ever go wrong with your account or something get changed up, you still have your core audience. And that way you can continue the conversation off the social media platform. But with that being said, I hope you take this to heart. Hope you found tremendous value in this video, because I'm telling you, what I'm sharing with you is what I've been able to do and the hard knocks that I've had to get in order to learn these lessons. And I'm trying to save you a few potholes so you don't have to hit those potholes in order to learn the same lessons that I've learned that took me over 10 years to get. And that's the reason why I'm building this digital product from scratch in 2022, because I want to be able to share with you and meet you where you are. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're into this type of stuff. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't clicked like, make sure you give me a like. It goes a long way. I'm the Digital DIY Geek, and I'll catch you in the next video. Till next time. Later. I always do that. I always get to the end of the intro and I don't ask you to comment. Tell me, I have a quick question for you. Tell me if you're doing these three things. And if not, let me know if you're going to do them. All right? Let me know below. I'll chat with you below. Till next time. Later.